Hey, this is Matthew, and welcome back to Nerd News Today, and it is time for another wrestling figure review. And this is one that I've been waiting for quite some time. What we're doing today is taking a look at the WWE Ultimate Edition version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, when they first announced this Ultimate Edition line, I was salivating at the thought of getting an Austin because, to be quite fair, a lot of the Austin figures, they're pretty much the same thing again and again. They're just not much to them. And really, look at Austin's outfit here. It's black trunks, his knee pads, a vest if you're lucky, that's about it. There's not much to it. But with the Ultimate Edition line, that really broadened the definition of what can come with an action figure from Mattel, and that's why I've been holding out so long on getting an Austin, because this one, I think, truly deserves the word Ultimate in that title. This version of Austin represents him from around WrestleMania 14 in 1998. Now, WrestleMania 14 was the night that Austin won the Winged Eagle Championship belt from Shawn Michaels. However, I believe it was the next night of Raw that Vince McMahon then awarded Austin with the belt that you're seeing here, which is the big round belt with the blue strap. Now, before we start to take a look at this figure, I want to let you guys know that you can pick up this and other pro wrestling figures from BigBadToyStore.com. It's a great place to shop for not just wrestling figures, but all sorts of other figures. I get things from them all the time, and the best part about it is I use their pile of loot feature, which lets me put things into my shopping cart, lets me buy things, and basically hold them in their store until I find enough things where I can basically ship them all at once. And by doing that, I save myself some money. It's a really great feature. Highly recommend it if you're a figure collector. And if you guys want to check it out, use our Big Bad Toy Store affiliate link in our description below. Now let's talk about this packaging here, because Ultimate Edition packagings do not mess around. These boxes are a little bit bigger than your typical Elite style box, and the packaging is also a lot nicer. We've kind of defined it in the past as being like a shoe box, where you can cut the tape around the back area and then literally just open it up like it's a shoe box and pull the figure out inside. So it is very, very collector friendly, more so than anything else that Mattel has done. We have an enormous window display, bigger than the Elites as well, lets you see exactly what this figure comes with, which is a lot of different things. On one side of the packaging, we've got a photo of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the other side just has Austin's name. The back of the box has both a photo of Austin with his blue championship belt, and then a photo right below it of him wearing the outfit that we're looking at in this toy. It also has a few stats, a little thing about career highlights, and a much longer buy than what we're used to seeing with most of the normal Mattel Elites that we get, because this one is actually 2 sentences long. That's double the length of most of the buys we've seen in figures lately, so hey, that kind of counts as being big for their standards. Now, also part of this wave is a figure of Ric Flair. We're going to be looking at him in the coming days, or depending on when you watch this video, it's already here. So make sure you don't miss our video all about that Flair, because it's pretty darn great. Now, one more thing before we jump into this figure itself and open it up, I wanted to show you guys, I actually have the Royal Rumble Elite version of Stone Cold Steve Austin as well. And the reason why I'm showing both these figures together right now is that, yes, while this Royal Rumble version of Austin came out a few months ago, it's been really hard to get, and it's become more readily available most recently. It briefly went up on Amazon for pre-order. Ringside Collectibles also got it finally, so it's now a little bit easier to get. But on the same note, this Ultimate version just came out now, so is it worth getting one over the other? I think it's pretty safe to say, as you guys can see, the Ultimate Edition is a much better option here. And really, the reason being is that you're getting one of the heads in this Ultimate Edition that is the only head that comes with this Elite version here. And just like I said at the start of the video, Austin figures are kind of bland, kind of samey, because his outfit really didn't change. For the most part, the only thing that's going to change is what vest he wore and how many knee braces, or sometimes what color those knee braces were. So at the end of the day, you know, you could definitely pass on this Rumble version here, unless you really want that outfit. And by that outfit, I mean just that vest, because otherwise you're getting the much superior version here with this Ultimate Edition. So we've spent enough time talking about this packaging. Let's go ahead and get this Stone Cold Steve Austin out of the box and into the ring. All right, here is the Texas Rattlesnake now out of the packaging. Let's go ahead and just jump right into things here, and let's talk first things first about that likeness. Well, not just that likeness, because this Austin figure, as we already showed you earlier, has 3 total head sculpts, and here they are, you guys can see. So this one here that I've got is more of a stoic head, and this is the one that we showed you with that Royal Rumble Elite figure. So yeah, that's the exact same head from that. And then this one here is him kind of like laughing, doing a promo. This head that's currently on the Austin, it's kind of more like the head he'd have if he was like just stunned you and now on the floor yelling at you. That's the thing he does. But yeah, all 3 heads I think are very good. I mean, I think, to be honest, this one here, the one that comes with the Royal Rumble figure, it's probably the weakest of the 3. But the other 2 here, they're really strong. The expressions are just really perfect. You know, there's a reason why he was called Stunning Steve, and I think both these head sculpts are really quite stunning. All 3 of them are very good, but those 2 are really top-notch. So off the bat, really great head sculpts. Great expressions on all 3 of the faces, pretty much from any angle that you're looking at. Can't miss with any of them. So let's talk about his outfit now as well. And the outfit is, you know, like I said before, Austin figures, they're all kind of the same. There's no difference here. He's got the classic black trunks. He's got the black wrist tape. We have, as we mentioned, just 1 knee brace. We have knee pads and his little shooter boots there. So, you know, really that's about it in terms of his wrestling gear. Nothing really changed much from that era. It was always the same kind of thing. maybe wristband would change or the number of knee braces would change. And that's kind of leading me to my first point is, now I know this is meant to represent WrestleMania 14 when he only really had one knee brace on, but man, do I wish it came with a second knee brace, because the point that I came into watching the Attitude Era, Austin already had both knee braces on. I missed out on the 98 because I didn't have cable. I only started watching him when I got SmackDown, when that came out in like late 99. So Austin didn't even show up until like 2000, I think, in wrestling again. So, you know, for me, I knew him with both knee pads. I would have loved to have had that, or even just include a second knee brace in there, just because why the heck not? It would just make it a more complete Austin, because, again, otherwise this is a very complete Austin, as we're going to see here, but, you know, just having one knee brace kind of makes me a little sad. I do want to point out, too, he has that awesome Texas Longhorn tattoo on his leg there, which is quite accurate and very nicely done. Looks really good there on his leg. So that's pretty much that. Let's jump into, I think, articulation for a little bit. And this being an Ultimate Edition, articulation is something that these figures really stand out with. So we'll just start with the head, which is ball and jointed, and because he's got no hair, he's got full range of motion. What? We've got butterfly joint in the arms, which gives him, again, a very big range of motion, and it's going to be really great for posing because you can get a really nice stunner, probably the best stunner you've ever had. We'll try it out a little bit later on. We've got ball joint for the shoulder, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, which is also going to help with those stunners. Full range of motion in the wrist. We have this fancy new joint here, which is very tight, but you can rock it back and forth, and that gives you a nice little range of motion too. The waist turns. Oof, he's stiff out the box. Look at this. This is probably the most flexible Austin's ever been in his life. You can do a full split with Stone Cold Steve Austin. You've got thigh cut, gives you a nice movement there. Double jointed knees. The boots swivel. You've got ankle rotation and the toe flexor, which I really don't understand why it's there. You know, I'm usually a big stickler for more articulation. The more, the better. But the toe joint, I still don't really entirely get. I can kind of do without that one if I had a choice of it. It's nice that it's there, but nothing really amazing for me. So yeah, that's a look at the articulation, and it's amazing because this is, after all, an Ultimate Edition. All right, now let's talk about accessories here. I'm counting the knee brace as one of them too, so I already complained about that. Let's talk about this gold link chain. That's a really nice touch. You gotta have the gold link chain when you're talking Stone Cold Steve Austin. But in addition to that, Austin comes with a bunch of hands. We have 2 more sets of hands, for a total of 3 sets of hands, 6 separate pieces. So we already have here, you can see the open hands. We also get a pair of closed fists, so you could start punching your opponents, and the pointer fingers. So obviously Mattel's never going to make a middle finger. The closest you're going to get, I think, was the Figure Arts figures. I think they had something like that, but don't even quote me on that. So yeah, we're never going to get this. Maybe there's some really smart 3D printer out there who will take it upon himself to do the measurements, figure this out, and print a bunch of hands that have the middle finger. But, you know, I don't want to say anything that's illegal or get anybody in trouble. Just, you know, throwing out an idea in case anybody would like to jump on it. Hint, hint. So there you go, a bunch of different hands. In addition to the hands, though, we've got some really cool stuff to put on our Austin. And we'll start over here with his Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 shirt. One of the most iconic, if not the most iconic shirt in pro wrestling history. Austin 316. And there's the back with the Stone Cold Skull logo. So you might be noticing the interesting thing about this is that there's no seam on this for Velcro. There's no Velcro on this whatsoever. So how do you get this thing on? Well, we're going to have to basically pop his head off and slide it over him and see how that works out. So that's fine. Let's give this a try. And I think I'm also going to pull a hand out or two, because that should probably make things easier. So let's give this a go. My big concern, too, is how stretchy this material is going to be if it can handle doing this. So let's give this a try and find out. Let's dress up our Stone Cold Steve Austin, for lack of a better word. Here we go. So far, it's actually doing really easy, and I think that's because those butterfly joints and their range of mobility really help putting this type of stuff on him. And there you go. That came on really easy. And, you know, I don't want to drag companies down the drain again, but since I am going to mention New Japan a little bit later on, I'm going to swap a head out too. A lot of the New Japan figures didn't have really any way to get their clothing on besides sliding on right there. The problem was they didn't have butterfly joints in the shoulders, so we couldn't actually get the shirts on that easily. So yeah, really nice to have it there, and it really works here with this kind of fabric too. So I'm actually trying to get a head on, and I noticed earlier the head joint was like super stiff. I don't know what it is about this figure. These heads are just having a real hard time getting on. So I'm going to try, I think, this other head here, the one that came with the Royal Rumble version. Ah, that's a loud pop. It shouldn't make that kind of noise. So something about my figure is just having a hard time getting stuff on, but there you go. And I think before I put any other hands on, I'm actually going to use this other accessory. That's his Austin 316 vest, which really nice detail on that. The back of it has the Stone Cold logo and the little endoskeletons. Let's get that on as well and complete this look, and then I'll throw some hands on him. And again, the butterfly joints are coming in really handy here because this is going on very smoothly. Man, I wish all figures were as easy as this one was to get their clothing on and off, because this is a dream right here. And there you go. That's all together. Let's give him some other hands. Let's give him a closed fist. And you guys might have noticed also that there's an accessory missing here that I haven't mentioned yet, and that would be a beer can. Why is there no beer can with Stone Cold Steve Austin figure? Well, it's Mattel. I'm pretty sure they couldn't get away with including that in there, but, you know, the Figure Arts figures had it. I wish they could put something in there, but I guess they just can't do it for whatever reason. So in addition to that, we've also got one more piece of apparel. We've got a Stone Cold Steve Austin baseball cap. Let's just go ahead and put that on, dress him up in all of his merchandise. In addition to that, we have a microphone. Attitude Era microphone with the Scratch logo. Put that on him right there. Now you can get your Austin in the ring and cut some promos. Looks really nice. And finally, the most important accessory of them all, I think, at least in my opinion, the championship belt. So as we mentioned, this was the belt that Austin got from Vince McMahon the following night after WrestleMania. So interesting about this is the blue strap title. So this is what came immediately after the Winged Eagle belt. But there's one pretty big inaccuracy here, and that's that the Scratch logo is on this belt, whereas it should actually be the old block logo. The Scratch logo didn't come around until the black championship strap came along, which is this version here, which came with the Ultimate Edition Rock figure. So you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. This blue strap should not have that logo there. That would have been an easy fix, just paint it differently, that's all. Not even a new mold, but they chose not to do that, so that's what we get. And, you know, not everybody's going to be a stickler like me for accuracies like that, but that's one I was actually really looking forward to getting. And unfortunately, we didn't get it. So that's our Austin all dressed up. And man, he looks really good. I mean, even with all these accessories on, it's a little bit much, but it all works and it looks really, really nice, gotta say. So let's do some comparisons to a few other figures also. And I'm gonna bring in a more recent figure of Austin, although recent meaning came out recently. It's actually based on his WCW look, a stunning Steve Austin. So there you guys go. And if you're looking for more Austin figures, you know, I think this is the one to get because it has a WCW tag belt. And plus it's got Austin with hair, which is kind of insane. Now let's bring in Johnny Gargano from NXT TakeOver Toronto. I think it's a really good figure also. I like this one a lot, I like the outfit a lot. So that's how our Austin stands up with some other Mattel figures. Let's actually bring another Ultimate Edition and see how he looks with an Ultimate Edition of The Rock. So here he is, one of his greatest rivals. I actually have the Triple H figure also. I don't have it with me though. That would have been good to have him because it's all from the same era. But that's how The Rock looks up next to him as well. I've had trouble getting this Rock to stand. That's because I found out later on I think my Rock is actually defective. So I'm going to have to send Mattel a nice little letter about that later on. But yeah, that's how he sizes up with The Rock. Let's try a few other figures from some other companies. Let's bring in this AEW figure of Jon Moxley. There you go. A lot of people have made comparisons to a modern-day Stone Cold. Whether you agree or disagree, I think it's a pretty valid leap in logic to make, all things considered. Now let's try one other figure, and that would be a New Japan figure from Super 7. I had a lot to say about these New Japan figures, so if you haven't seen my video all about them, or videos rather, go ahead and check them out. They're definitely worth hearing me rant about. So that's how he looks compared to figures from a few other companies, and also important to note that in terms of articulation, the Ultimate Editions are pretty comparable to the AEW figures from Jazzwares. The only thing missing, I'd say, I actually think the only thing missing is the toe articulation. Yeah, that's actually it. Whereas the New Japan figure from Super 7, he's missing a lot of articulation that the other figures don't have, which is a little unfortunate, especially when you consider the price point. But hey, that's a video for a different day, and one I already recorded, so make sure you check that out. But regardless of that, it's still a really, really awesome time to be a wrestling toy collector, because look at this, man. We got stuff from Mattel, for WWE, Jazzwares from AEW, New Japan Super 7, and a lot more stuff from other companies on the way. So yeah, it's a good time to drain your wallets, folks. So, final thoughts on our Stone Cold Steve Austin figure here. This is probably the most complete version of Austin we're ever going to get, with all the accessories and all the most important accessories of Austin. Really, the only thing that I would have wanted here would have been a beer can, another knee brace, and really that's about it. I mean, there's not much else you can do with him besides changing his shirts, giving him a different look of championship belt. I mean, the thing that comes to mind is like, what are they going to do next? Are they ever going to make another version of Austin in the Ultimate line? And I hope they do, but where do they go from here? So I don't think they will. And on that note, it's definitely worth getting this version of Austin right now the way he is in this Ultimate Edition, because it's pretty much perfect. You've got the chain, you've got the hat, you've got the shirt, you got the vest, you got the belt, you got the mic, you got a bunch of hands. There's a lot going on with this figure. It's a great value. And considering how collectible the Ultimate Edition line has been, I think this one's going to be one of the real hot ones in the long term too, because again, I don't think we're going to get many other Austins, because there's not much else you can do with a character like this. So it's pretty much the best version of Austin you're going to get, no matter if it's Elite, no matter if it's Ultimate Edition, whatever. This is the one to have, it's the one to own. If you haven't been buying Ultimate Edition figures, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you got to start doing that, because man, these are some hot, awesome figures. If you want to pick up this version of Stone Cold Steve Austin for yourself, we got a bunch of links below where you can find them. We're going to probably update that as more come out, but that's going to include BBTS, Entertainment Earth, Ringside, and Amazon, just to name a few. So yeah, keep an eye out for them and get it while you can, because like I said, it's going to become really rare really quickly. So that's our look at Mattel's WWE Ultimate Edition Series 9 Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Texas Rattlesnake. I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.